From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode 212 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle America and the middle chapters of our lives with the point of view that's somewhere in the middle. Heck, we even vacation in the middle. In this episode, is Dillon going to be in a Gatorade ad? We talk about Kendall's vacation, then we talk about Dillon's vacation, then we talk about Kory's vacation, and then a little bit of streaming on the butt end. Enjoy!
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Hey, everybody. We're back. It's all three of us all at the same time.
Oh, man. It's been so long since we've connected. I'm so excited to talk all about y'all's vacations and time away and all the adventures. This is going to be a good one. I have a feeling.
It's going to be a 6-hour episode, man.
Woohoo! First ever and maybe last episode ever.
I don't know about you boys. I've had my nighty-night Gatorade and string cheese, so let's go.
What flavor is your nighty-night Gatorade? Grape, I hope? Fierce grape?
Well, I like to go with things that are gentle on the belly. So
Okay.
we've got a zero, orange zero.
Orange zero. You know, orange is my two favorites to this day are still like orange and lemon lime. Call me a boring Gatorade drinker, but those are still my two favorites.
The OG flavors.
That's it.
I don't mind them. Not mad about it. I have to say, for like when you know what they're built for, it makes total sense. But when I'm not really an athlete and rarely actually need a sports drink, you kind of forget. I was out mowing the other day. It was incredibly hot, and I had one. This is the little, if you're not on YouTube, this is the smaller one. So I had one, and I was mowing, and I was outside for probably a little over 2 hours, like in total working. And I had mostly finished one, and then I went up to the front door, and somebody ran and got me a cold one, and I chugged the cold one all the way, knowing I had a little bit left. And it really did power me through.
There you go.
I mean, I got this whole burst for like the second half of all the work I was doing outside, and I'm like, that really does the trick.
You know, Gatorade is selling. I don't know if they're selling more, but they're selling a good market share to just dudes mowing their lawns.
Yeah.
And I feel like they need to commercialize. I feel like that needs to be in its own ad campaign. You've got like Dillon, middle class, middle-aged dad, just like
it's
just
like
sun beaten,
pulling down the sweatband, positioning it before I go out. You like pull up the Lowe's gloves for the mower.
No, I'm saying like barely like turning off the mower, and you see like barely making it to the door.
Yeah.
And then you open the door and one of your kids hands you a cold Gatorade, and then you're like slow chugging it.
Yeah.
And then you hear like the Mario got an extra life mushroom sound. Yeah. And then
yeah,
I
want the pull to start on the mower, and then you already want to take a drink of one.
This is why people need to donate to our tip jar, because if we could afford a film crew, we could film this. This is going to be great, but we need to splice the shot of Dillon mowing in with top athletes doing their thing. So you remember the Gatorade commercial where it was the athletes were all in black and white, but they were wiping the colored sweat off of their brow, right?
Yeah, those are cool.
So like somebody pole vaulting, somebody playing street ball with their friends, and then Dillon like hiking up his pants and there's sweat stains on his butt crack. And then he's chugging Gatorade and the basketball guy's chugging.
Wait, are the sweat stains on the sweatpants the same color as my forehead?
That's whatever color Gatorade you're drinking, right? So
And then there's one of me on the couch with my hand in my sweatpants, and I'm eating string cheese, taking a swig, like, woo. Yeah,
like
awesome.
no excuse for a Gatorade. It's
yeah,
just what was in the fridge and that one.
that's
And then
that's
at the end, they have like a big team picture, and they've got like the pro basketball players and the pro pole vaulter and everybody, and Dylan in the middle, just like throwing up a peace sign.
yeah,
And
yeah.
man,
Equals, athletic equals.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And then on the other side of that, very funny bit of like mental picture that we created for people. There's idiots on the news calling this kind of weather a comfortable humidity. And I don't think those two words should ever go together, by the way.
what the heck are they
They don't
coming up
belong. There's no such thing as a comfortable humidity.
Comfortable humidity.
There's just humidity and really bad humidity. And that's it. No comfortable ones.
Was that weather report paid for by the Ohio Board of Tourism?
I don't. It's like, when they say, like, you'll hear some kind of global warming statistic, and somebody will like, hey, that's bad journalism to not report that it's only the top 100 biggest companies in the world that are creating all the pollution for like 90% of global warming. It was that list of companies that paid for it. That's the one they paid for. It's a comfortable humidity. They're trying to condition us now to be used to words like comfortable humidity. Doesn't exist. I either notice the humidity and it's bad, or it's low enough that it basically is non-existent. Those are the options, by the way, weather people.
Well, speaking of weather, Kendall, you have to catch us up on your vacation with your family. But first, last week's episode that you and Amy did was wonderful. I laughed a lot. So Midlers, if you haven't heard episode 211, go back and hear an episode, Sans the Hubble Brothers, and listen to Kendall and Amy. Hilarious. You so perfectly encapsulated, I think, what you said your initial premise for a podcast with you and Amy would be. And that's like, explain to me what you do by telling me sort of a day in the life of what your work is like. And here, you guys have been married for how many years?
10
years. And I never once thought, oh, he's just pretending that he doesn't understand what she really does every day. I was like, oh no, he, after 10 years, still doesn't know what his wife does every day.
She's a pathologist, and I don't know the difference between an autopsy and autism. So
I laughed a lot. The Gen Z stuff was great. And then your whole sort of get off the lawn, complaining about the kids watching fireworks on a golf course. Man, I laughed a lot. It was a great episode.
You know what was fun about that is today Amy got a text message from the guy who used to have her job, and he has since retired. And Dr. Dave, love you, and I'm so excited that you're still listening. And
thanks, Dr. Dave.
Thanks, Dr. Dave.
He texted Amy, he's like something along the lines of, I'm glad to know that like after 30 some odd years or whatever, I'm finally able to know what it is I used to do every day or something like that. It was funny.
That's great. So tell us about your vacation. How was it?
It was really good, and it almost wasn't.
Oh no.
So we went up to Mackinac Bridge area. So for people who don't know, and you've got the Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, Michigan, Mackinac Bridge is the 5-mile long suspension bridge record breaker that connects the two. And the Mackinac Bridge also basically separates Lake Michigan from Lake Huron. And on the Lake Huron side, which is the east side of the bridge, there is a place called Mackinac Island, which is a huge tourist destination. No cars allowed, bikes and horses only. Super expensive to stay there. We did not stay there. We stayed in St. Ignis, which is the town that is on the north side of the Mackinac Bridge. And a town that I remember as a kid. We used to vacation in Michigan virtually annually, and the Upper Peninsula we went to virtually annually. And I remembered St. Ignis as being a cute, fun, touristy town that has like the all of the fun like bud shops and things that you expect from like a touristy town to have, like that walk that has like the candy stores and the beachy souvenir shops and that kind of thing. And yeah, so if you're looking on YouTube, there's some good pictures. Now that's a picture of what I actually saw. Was a town that used to be a fun, cute touristy town. There's still a few places in there that are still kind of trying to keep that vibe alive, but it's very clear that it's died down there. But Mackinac City, which is on the south side of the bridge, is still very much alive and vibrant. And I did not know this when I booked our stay at a hotel in St. Ignis, which my understanding was they were on the main drag that I was hoping to spend all of our time, and we were going to walk everywhere. We brought our bikes with us and we were going to bike everywhere. We get there, and this place is like, if you look around some trees and some other buildings, you can kind of see the water from this hotel that was very proud of its views of the water. So that was a disappointment. And it was like far away and way uphill from everything. No way like you and your family are biking that. And you walk into the hotel and it is so hot in there. The outside air in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is beautiful. And it doesn't get like all that hot up there. It just doesn't. So it's like, 85, 90 degrees here, 72 there, and wonderful. You go inside and it's stupid hot.
Was it a comfortable heat?
No, no such thing.
Okay.
And so we walk up to the second floor where our room is, and it's getting progressively hotter as you go up the stairs. There's no elevator in this place.
You gained another 10 degrees walking up to the second level.
And we go into our room, and what I find out is in our room, the air conditioner was on, which I appreciate that. It was like a window unit air conditioner. So it's been retrofitted to have a window unit air conditioning system. I had set that thing on 62 degrees and 24/7, it never shut off. Like it never, I knew it wasn't going to get down to 62 degrees. Like that wasn't the point. I'm not looking for 62 degrees as my ambient temp. I just didn't want that stupid thing to shut off, and it didn't. It is stuck in the wall that's on the other side of that wall is the hallway of the hotel. The hot side of the air conditioning unit is venting all of the exhaust, the hot air, out into the hallway of the hotel. All of the rooms are like that. And so the interior of the hotel outside of the rooms is not air conditioned. As a matter of fact, it is absorbing all of the heat from the air conditioners of the rooms. So you're trapped in your room.
Seems like a pretty basic design flaw.
Yeah. You're trapped in your room. The place has an indoor pool. And you think, great, we have kids. We're looking for a place to cool off. We're going to go visit the indoor pool. The indoor pool is like 90 degrees.
Oh.
And the HVAC system in there is like, it's like 100 degrees, it seems. Super high humidity. You can't even touch the hot tub. And the signs on the windows that say, do not open windows because doing so may damage our ambient desert, whatever, something HVAC system. And which is in part how we heat the pool. And so they have their stupid hot pool and they're crazy. Like you cannot, the moment you walk into that room, you start sweating.
Is this run by 75-year-olds?
I know it's, I don't know.
I was just imagining the same thing, like some 85-year-old guy who's owned it for like 60 years. And he's just walking like through the hallways to himself, mumbling, "It's a comfortable humidity." Because so many people have complained about how hot it is.
It was, I mean, you couldn't be in there. You just
Ugh.
couldn't be in there. It was bad. And so this was where we were going to be staying for the next handful of days. Um, and then the first night we had issues with people sleeping and being scared because we had 2 queen beds, but they were in like 2 separate kind of bedrooms kind of thing. And partway through the night, I was just literally telling Amy, I don't want to be here. Let's leave.
Mm.
And because nothing was working out. And so, but we didn't leave. We did whatever there was to do in St. Ignis kind of the next day, and then we discovered also Mackinac City and how awesome that place was. So we just like we would get up in the morning and leave, go across the bridge, hang out in Mackinac City for a while. And then on the day that we went to Mackinac Island, took the ferry to Mackinac Island and took our bikes with us. And we did that day, which was incredible. The family and I, there's a bike path that you can take that goes all the way around the coastline. So the entire circumference of the island. And the kids and us, we all did that together. That is the highlight of the trip, was that bike ride. Was just so beautiful. And then the hotel, which was a pay up front kind of situation, we skirted the last 2 days at that hotel. Once we did everything that we were going to do in that area, we packed up, checked out a couple of days early, and went to a water park resort that we got a deal on in Frankenmuth, Michigan. So
Frankenmuth is fun.
Frankenmuth is very fun.
You're a big Christmas guy. Did you go to the big
yeah.
Christmas shop?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's
Of
right up
course.
your alley.
For those who don't know, Bronner's is a Christmas store in Frankenmuth, Michigan, which is like the world's largest 24/7 Christmas store, but not 24/7, but like 363 days a year. They're closed like twice a year.
Yeah.
It's a huge, wonderful wonderland of a place for anybody who loves Christmas. We stayed there. The town of Frankenmuth is like like the Americanized version of traditional German.
Yeah, it's
things.
a German Funderland.
Yeah, and that's so it's fun, and we were able to stay there for like it wasn't that expensive. We got a package that came with access to a water park and the hotel that the water park's attached to, and a big fancy dinner. It was the right decision to like leave the hotel in St. Ignis and go find this place. So it turned into a wonderful vacation, despite the fact that the hotel absolutely sucked.
I'm so happy you went to Bronner's and Frankenmuth. We went. I went with my mom and some family several times as a kid in winter. So like being there when it's kind of dark and naturally all the like during the holiday season, it's a little snowy and there's lights everywhere. A lot of fun, very pretty. If you don't mind walking around a store with a billion Christmas decorations in it, which is fun for anybody for a little bit, even if you're not into that kind of thing. But I remember enjoying myself even as a kid. It was a good time.
Yeah. Oh, also, I want to mention this. Definitely the second best part of our trip was the a mystery. It's not called Mystery Spot, but like Mystery something museum or something like that. I gather that it's a small chain of museums, but I did not know that northern Michigan / southern Upper Peninsula and Mackinac Island, like that area, is one of the areas in the U.S. where supposedly Sasquatch has been spotted. And there is this fun cult culture centered around that idea. Like you can get a coffee mug that says like, I want to be the first to drink coffee with Sasquatch. And things like that. Yeah. Mystery Town, USA in Mackinac City. It is a pay museum, and you go in, and it's just like they have obviously none of it's real. But you walk through this crazy museum of all these different folklore things. So like there's like this Michigan man wolf thing that's supposedly like this monster in the Michigan area. And so they have a room that's like decked out and you're looking for this crazy wolf thing. They have a Sasquatch that you can go take a picture with in the museum. All kinds of crazy things like that like that there are people who take some of this stuff seriously and are all about it, and you don't know if the employees are tongue in cheek or not. But I'm just like loving every minute of it, man. And when I was on Mackinac Island, Kory saw my hat earlier. Got a Mackinac Island hat that has the Sasquatch on it, and I loved that whole thing. My wife was very kind and gracious and allowing me to take the family to pay to go through this museum. At that museum, I picked up a couple of fun little items for you guys next time we're in person. So
that sounds fun. I can definitely see Amy rolling her eyes at some of Mystery Town, USA.
You know what? I think she enjoyed it too.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a good time. And thank you. This guy, just a little behind the scenes, this guy's still doing audio editing on Dylan and I's episode while he's on vacation, trying to upload YouTube videos with places with bad internet.
At the hotel, this same hotel is trying to rely on their internet to upload a video, and it just wasn't having it.
So thanks for that, man. You go above and beyond. We don't deserve you.
That's fine. Enough about me.
Dylan, over to you. You were gone. You did 2 back-to-back family reunions. I'll talk a little more about the second, but you had some fun adventures with Breeze fam.
That's true. And I feel like we're close enough. We're close enough to the break that I'm going to take a break, but I'm going to do something that we like never do here. Ooh. And I'm going to do a very clickbaity type segue to the commercial before we hear from some of our friends in OnPod Media. And I'm going to say this. I had probably the best sushi I've ever had in my life, and you'll never believe where it came from. Right after you hear from some of our friends in OnPod's Media.
Hey, I'm Pantsless Aaron.
This is Stevie.
And I'm Augie.
And we are BFYTW, a podcast all about playing games and having fun. Our games are usually based on British panel shows and game shows, but we'll play anything that captures our attention and imagination. Why? It's right there in the title.
You'll never guess what the F stands for.
If I had to describe my farts in one word,
right,
that word would be smooth.
Speaking of smooth, we never do this either, but well, we don't do it enough. Thank you, Samson 111 for our intro music. He did that dope beat for us, and we really appreciate it. So I just want to shout out Samson. We appreciate you. Go check out his stuff on SoundCloud and all the other places. Dylan, where'd you get that sushi from, bruh?
You're not going to believe it. I got a recommendation from a listener, and I had some of the best sushi I've ever had in my life in the middle of Indiana.
No.
Nowhere near water.
No.
Off the interstate.
No.
At the Chubby Trout.
Love it.
So freaking good. Thank you, listener Drew, for telling us about the Chubby Trout. We made sure to stop and eat there. It was freaking delicious. I had this black pepper crab bisque or lobster bisque or something. Ooh. Huge lump of crab meat, almost like a whole crab cake, but not fried, sitting in this soup, all super reasonably priced. And so this is one of those things where I'm like, I couldn't possibly share on social media that night, because if I died from food poisoning, I wouldn't want to have promoted it. But now that I lived to tell the tale, incredibly good. And then the sushi was just so good. There's just a chance that this place was just freaking on point. But a lot of the people had told us when we said we were going to go that they're like, hey, their sushi is really good. So shout out to Chubby Trout. We were in Northern Indiana for some Breeze family reunion, and got to do a lot of different stuff. We went to the Studebaker Museum, which was really cool. The old Studebaker cars. 3 levels of museum. If you're into cars at all and you're ever in northern Indiana, stop by there. Totally worth a quick visit. That was really neat. We went to Notre Dame's campus and ate at the Legends Cafe, which is like right beside their stadium, and walked around Notre Dame's campus a little bit. I did what any self-respecting Ohio State fan would do. I made sure to find the restroom, turned away from that, found a dressing room, and took a dump before I left. At the bookstore. I'm kidding. I thought about that as a joke, like any self-respecting fan would do, which was find a changing room at the bookstore and just use the restroom. But then that felt more like a classless Ohio State fan joke than anti Notre Dame joke.
Right.
It's a very nice campus, very pretty. We had great food at the Legends Cafe, and we're joking a little bit more because it's fun to take jabs, right? We were sitting in the entryway of the bookstore, huge, beautiful, for not being really that large of an enrollment. I think there's like 13,000, 14,000 students, including graduate. So it's really not that big of a university. It was really pretty, and we were kind of sitting. We looked over on the wall of the huge entryway to the bookstore, and we noticed that it was paid for by a somebody from Columbus. Actually, they had a painted portrait, and he had like Notre Dame with suit on, but like kind of Notre Dame colors.
All right,
yeah, that's it. Very pretty. If you're on YouTube, you should be following us, but if you're not, sub on YouTube, and you can watch what I'm talking about. And so we're looking around. You can kind of see these metal sconce lights and this brick and all of that. And so we're like, wow, this is really expensive. I wonder how much the it costs. And then it kind of like I'm tapping on the brick to kind of see what it is, and I realized it's plaster. And then I kind of see the metal lights are probably like thin. They're not they're probably more like aluminum. And so it just felt really appropriate that as we're sitting there realizing what personifies a Notre Dame fan is flashy, but really actually pretty cheap. So want to be flashy, but no, I'm kidding. It's well, not about the building. It really wasn't that well built, but it's very pretty. The stadium, it's huge. Something about the Notre Dame stadium, I think because they've got so many boxes around it, unlike Ohio Stadium that doesn't have that. It's like you're just looking at the edge of the stadiums and the columns when you go to Ohio Stadium, where this has so many. It feels so much more bigger and daunting as you're standing on the outside of it. So credit to Notre Dame for making a very daunting looking stadium as you're looking outside if you're not a fan. Very pretty campus, very pretty area. We went to Amish country while we were up there. Shipshewana is up there. That's nice if you want to do something else and check out Amish made goods. One of my favorite parts of the Shipshewana experience, there's always like the Amish food if you're into that. Just for what, let me go into that for a second. If you're not familiar with it, it would be very much what you would expect from like a classic Midwest meal or like Cracker Barrel or Bob Evans, like roast beef, ham, chicken, turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls, pie. Lots of that kind of great food you can buy to take home or sit and eat. Lots of wood made goods. Well, they did have I was like finding they'll have like a candy shop or something. And this one had all kinds of popular candies and unknown candies and popular sodas as well, and some unknown sodas. And I was very excited walking around. This felt very much a nod to our age. They had the strawberries and cream savers. I found out, and I thought they had a roll of them. And I was so excited. I was like looking for sodas I'd never had. Shout out to Hank's Soda from Philadelphia. I had a delicious gourmet root beer. It was super good. And I got some of the cream savers, and I was chatting with somebody that we were with from the family. And this phrase came out of my mouth that I never expected to say about candy, but the more we talked about it, laughed about it, the more it made sense. Strawberry and cream savers that's not a common street candy. All right. This isn't like the red. Yeah. This isn't like the red cinnamon candy, like garbage or something. I'm in hindsight, that was so ahead of its time as a quality candy that I'm surprised it's not still around in a bigger way today. It's delicious, it's light, it's easily portable. They were individually wrapped inside of this thing. I'm like, these are so good, so portable. I don't know what happened to cream savers. Maybe they fell on hard times. Not common street candy. So then we had a whole long.
Wait, hold on, Dillon. I'm about to blow your mind. Did you know you can buy them in a pudding pack?
Oh yeah,
I'm for sure gonna go find those. So I know they're around because obviously I bought them. And if you've never had them, and if you ever see them, get them. Go on Amazon. I'm sure you can buy them in bulk. I don't understand why they're not around more. They're delicious. It was such a great find as we were in that little candy shop. And then it led to this great conversation about crap candy. And similarly at Halloween, the junk candy some people give out versus the good candy. And cream savers would deserve to be along with the really good chocolate that people hand out. It was a great time. We had a ton of fun.
I feel like we talked about cream savers when I went to Maumee and found that old timey soda shop when we were visiting Jenna and Spencer, and they had those. They had the orange ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were awesome.
Yeah, yep. So the second part, on our way back from Indiana, we stopped. This is kind of where Kory picks up. We stopped and met some of our side of the family. So this was a long kind of vacation for us. In Northwest Ohio. And of course, on our way to Indiana, we drove through Lima and made sure all of Bree's family, we all stopped and had Kewpie. So that was a great time. Nice. Then we came back to Northwest Ohio and we had time with our side of the family. And Kory, that feels like a great spot for you to pick up.
Yeah, so you guys remember, if you've listened for a while, that last year at this time, Dillon and I unexpectedly lost our grandma. And while that was sad, we all got together as a family that week, almost every night of the week. And we were just together, and the local church and friend community was bringing meals for all of us. And we just had a lot of good time of like laughing and then grieving and sharing stories and singing worship together and just hanging out. And at the end of that week, a lot of our family, aunts and uncles, cousins said, we've got to do this more often. We've got to do this more often. And so my wife, Sherry, who is very thoughtful, regularly said, hey, make a note of that. Next summer, we should all get together. So Sherry, a handful of months back, said, hey, we got to pitch this idea to your grandpa. Like, let's have a week at his house where we can come around him because he's less likely to travel these days. So let's surround him. He's got a big place, a pond and swimming and fishing, and people can camp and hang out. And so we pitched the idea to grandpa. He loved it. And so that's what it was. Most of our family is still up there. Dillon and I are the ones that are the furthest away. But we were like, hey, let's just centrally locate ourselves for the week. And that doesn't mean we all have to sleep at grandpa's house. There's not enough rooms for that. You all live close by, 5-10 minutes away, but we'll all come up and be all up for the week. And so we did this really fun thing. And I'm only going into detail because we've explained it to a few people who thought, wow, that's a really cool thing. And we've already heard some people say they're going to copy the idea. But basically, we're all up there. If you like primitive camping, there's plenty of space for that. If you just want to come over every night for dinner, fine. If you want to come over every day and be there from sunrise to sundown, great. It's kind of a come and go as you please. A lot of the little cousins who are the same age, they went to one cousin's house for a sleepover one night. And then some people were like, let's go watch Indiana Jones 5 in theaters. And then other people were like, let's drive up to Maumee and watch the fireworks at one of our other cousins' houses. And so it was just so much going on every single night. And so that the burden didn't fall on any one family, we just said, hey, every household is in charge of dinner one night. Breakfast and lunch is up to you. But we're just all here. So it's kind of like a family reunion, but it was so much fun. my new best friend Matt, who married our cousin Haley, he's a big fisherman, and so Grandpa has a lot of a rare hybrid of bluegill called shell crackers that get really large and have like sort of a red fin and yellow belly. And they're the aggressive ones that like to bite you when you're just casually floating in a flotation device. And so he's like, if you want to catch as many of those as you can and cook them up, we can do a fish fry. So we did that. And just a lot of fun. I took the motorcycle up. And so I was riding the motorcycle around these places where I grew up, but never had a motorcycle, and just such quality and quantity time. Like, I want to say while going to Topsail Island and being at the beach was probably the highlight of our summer, from a spending quality time with family and just having that like really relaxed, no real agenda sort of time together as a family was super, super special in a place that holds a lot of memories for Dylan and I. And then, of course, we had to get, make our eyes sweat. And one night we just shared memories about Grandma a year after her passing. And so it was just a really good time. I think it's going to be one of those things that we look back and go, man, I'm so glad that we did that. And now the question becomes, how often do we want to keep doing that? And I think doing it over the week of the 4th was perfect because a lot of people already had some days off. And so anyway, a lot of fun, just super relaxed, fishing in the pond, swimming in the pond, camping in the woods, driving Kubotas around. My cousin brought his motorcycle, just food, fun, fireworks, family, fantastic. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful. So Dylan, which family do you like more?
Yeah, I spent so much time thinking about this, actually. Whatever's closest to the chubby trout, because I want some
The chubby. When you first say chubby trout, first of all, the pictures that Kory pulled up, like, show it as like this really cool kind of like rustic hip kind of vibe, right? Which looks like a place that would have really good sushi. But you say I got sushi at the chubby trout, and my mind is like, is this like, did you get like bologna and American cheese sushi?
like a bait shop or something near a lake.
Exactly.
Well, so
we've got a frog lake sushi.
My wife's not really thinking. She's like, "Oh, they have fun T-shirts. Will you get me one?" So I'm like, "I don't think these are going to be the kind of T-shirts." I go in to at least look at them, and they're the kind of shirts that it's like one of them has the athletic kind of swoosh across the chest that you would have like writing inside, and it says motorboating, and then one of them says like, "It's all fun and games till somebody gets a chubby," and so and stuff like that. You're like, I don't think you're gonna want one of these shirts. This is not what you're thinking. This isn't like a cute fish. It's not like Nemo on a shirt that says chubby trout.
Is she innocent enough that she wouldn't understand some of the innuendos?
No, she does, but she wasn't assuming that that's the kind of shirt. Where I very much assume when your restaurant is called Chubby Trout, that's the kind of shirt you're going to have. So once I relayed a few of the shirt slogans, she was like, "Yeah, never mind. That's fine."
That reminds me, in the 90s at the Allen County Fairground, there were these redneck T-shirts. Every single one of them was like an innuendo or double entendre sort of thing. And there was cartoons, and I would feel ornery just looking at the shirts. Like, I'm going to get in trouble because they all had different meanings. And here's like a goody little church boy not understanding what half of these mean. I'm going to try to find a line of those shirts. Those were so funny.
Well, that was kind of the Abercrombie and Fitch documentary, right? Like, they talk about how in the 90s and 2000s, they were making so many like borderline racist, sexist, but also like innuendo type. Every T-shirt was that. And they got really popular. You had a South Carolina Gamecocks hat that was from Abercrombie.
They were, I'm sharing it on YouTube now. They were kind of like these, but I don't think this is exactly it. But like a whole line of like fishing and trucks and motorboating would have fit right in with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, those 90 90s redneck shirts.
I like
That's
it.
awesome. So it was a really good time. And check out Chubby Trout if you're into sushi. The food was I think everyone was like seriously surprised at how good the food was. And we also had a great time. Funny enough, we had a movie screen and some speakers and stuff. We were trying to pick a movie, and I don't know how we landed on Here Comes the Boom with Kevin James, but like sleeper for like his best movie, by the way, like the funniest, the perfect pacing, like to keep you interested, really legitimately funny. And my daughter was like, Daddy, I need you to download that on my account so I can watch it later.
Mhm.
And she's trying to get me to download. She doesn't, UFC fights don't bother her at all in that. She just thinks it's funny.
Yeah, we can't blow past that, by the way. So Matt brought an inflatable. So it's got like it constantly running inflatable motor thing.
Right.
A 20-foot projection screen that we just tied to the beams of the barn. And so we just put our chairs in a big U shape and all watched movies out under the stars and fireworks. That was awesome. I might be investing in one of those big inflatable TV screens. I had never seen one of those.
Sure.
That's
Dude,
pretty awesome.
we have one at the church, and we've done movie nights before with them. We watched the Super Bowl on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so good. It made it a really enjoyable way to watch a movie, and it was a good movie for the whole audience that was there. I wish we'd been able to do another one. I had downloaded the new Super Mario Brothers animated movie onto my iPad. I was hoping we could maybe get to that, but it was a great choice for that night, and it was very, very funny. So it's on Hulu currently. So if you've never seen it and you like Kevin James at all, it's his best movie in my opinion.
Speaking of the Mario movie, have you guys ever like recently seen a red box machine outside of a grocery store and you thought to yourself, is anyone still using those?
I've not even seen one.
There's one outside of our Kroger, and I will tell you who's still using those: families with kids on vacation who have DVD players in their vans.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because you can return those wherever. So we rented one. We rented the Mario movie, which they had already seen in Michigan, and they watched it twice on the ride back home and were perfectly entertained. And we returned it at our Kroger.
That's something we hadn't thought about. So we're at our grandpa's. That's why we couldn't record last week. He has garbage internet. And it was like, does anybody have any DVDs that we can hook up to this projection?
Yeah.
Anybody know where we can find a red box?
Yeah. We have a DVD wallet in our van, a CD wallet that we have DVDs in it. And like, I was even like looking up on Amazon. I'm like, man, I sure hope they still sell these things. And sure enough, you can still buy a CD wallet.
Well, that makes sense because I think the last VCR was made like 5 or 10 years ago.
Sure.
So like in Asia. So it makes sense you could still buy those. Now that I think about it. Well, and I'm still one of the nerds who like I still like to buy, if it's a movie I really want to own, I'll go buy the Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray with digital copy so that I get them all at once. And they often still include a DVD because why not? I'll do that instead of paying the exact same price for just digital. I'll go in and get all of them, for one. And so that way I feel like I can at least do the thing where if somebody wants to watch it, I could be like, yeah, take this, enjoy it, bring it back whenever. But I never thought about the returning in different locations and then the number of like vans and SUVs that probably still have DVD players in them. It's really interesting.
So speaking of being at a place where you might see a red box, I thought this was funny. Dylan and I got a message this week from a listener who said that she stopped at a Buc-ee's and not one but 2 cars had parked at the pump and walked into the store. She said, I thought it might interest you guys. And then Dylan, oh Lord, did you have any sense of how long they held up the pumps? Nope. I was just amazed. It was crazy busy. Cars kept pulling behind and realizing no one was there.
Oh man.
To which I said, jerks at the center of their own universe. Spatial awareness, people.
Exactly.
So that hit on a few of the through lines of topics on this show, Buckies and people with no sense of spatial awareness.
I feel like the unofficial rule is,
thanks, Jill.
You've got enough time. Yes, thank you, Jill. You've got enough time to go in and pay and or pick out a quick, I'll say a quick drink and a snack, pay and be on your way. I don't think you need to move your car if you've also gotten gas. It's the polite thing to do if it's a very busy gas station.
Exactly.
I don't think you need to move it if you're getting gas and you're also going to like, hey, I'm going to run in and pay and grab a soda while I'm in there.
I think you do. If you've got people lining up behind other people who are pumping, I think if you look at that and you see somebody on your bumper waiting for you to leave and you decide you're going to go in and grab a soda first, I think that's a jerk move. I think you got to get out and get in there. Otherwise, if there's other pumps that are available, that kind of thing, you can go in there and play a game of euchre for all I care. See, but if you see that it's busy, I think you need to be aware of that and then act accordingly.
The Buc-ee's thing to me feels like this isn't a 15 by 20 foot wide, like little convenience store where you can go grab what you need and be back to the cash register in 40 seconds. Buc-ee's, in my mind, although I haven't been there, feels like you're going to walk in and go, whoa. And then you're going to go look around for 15 minutes while you're there. So that to me,
running in for your beef jerky and soda pop is only okay if half of the pumps were not being used because it's not that busy. And then you're not supposed to leave your pump unattended, but start pumping. As it's pumping, run in, grab your soda, pay. By the time you come out, it's probably already clicked and you can finish your transaction.
Yeah, that's dangerous though. The clicker doesn't always work.
It is. The clicker doesn't always work.
And that's on you if the clicker doesn't work and you are inside because the sign says don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. But if your family's there, they're going to maybe look at your side mirror and see it's gushing out the side.
Maybe.
But anyway, even if you finish pumping and only half the pumps are being used because it's not that busy, run in, grab your Mountain Dew, and get back out.
Sure.
See, the reason that I say that is because somebody could run in, grab a snack, and pay at a different register while somebody else is counting out the money that they're going to use to just pay for the gas. I feel like the fact that you could be taking a similar amount of time to somebody who's not even getting a snack, but is counting out, I got to go through my wallet and pick the bills that I need. It feels like it could be a similar amount of time, but I get that if you got a line, then you need to pull in. I was surprised we stopped off of the interstate in Ohio and a very busy gas station, so I did not stay at the pump. I went in, and it was an old and kind of looked like a gross gas station. But what surprised me was that when I walked in towards the bathroom, first of all, the bathroom was super clean. So you rarely see an old gas station that has a super clean bathroom.
Yeah.
And then as I walked out, I noticed they had a whole row of just small, like two chairs and one table, so that there was enough that probably like 6 people could just sit at this tiny little gas station and still had room to I'm just going to go in and sit and have a snack for a minute and not have to shovel in food in my car. And there was no other food at this stop. So there was no McDonald's or Starbucks where you could go sit and have any kind of food. And I thought that's actually really thoughtful that you can, there's still, I don't remember the last time I saw a very small convenience store type gas station that still had a couple tables and chairs where you could actually buy some food and sit down for a minute with a clean bathroom. So maybe we can't lose hope.
Well, Dylan, come to my neck of the woods. I just discovered this myself. So you've had Goodfellas Pizza right up here on Route 3. Right next to that is something you've brought up on the show and has now been commented on our Facebook group From the Middle for the Middlers, a drive-through.
Right.
So it's a drive-through / convenience store. And when you walk into the convenience store, it very clearly used to be like 2 rows of racks for snacks. They just removed one of the rows, put 2 tables with 2 chairs at each one, a microwave and a coffee station. And so for people and they serve pizza from 11 to 1 on weekdays, and you can just set yourself up there. So me and my buddies were riding motorcycles, and we stopped in there, grabbed a Mountain Dew, sat there for 15, 20 minutes. And I was like, this is so nice. And it felt like a very different time. Here I am, literally surrounded by packaged snacks and goodies and beef jerky and chips. And I can just sit down, and they had a TV playing BET movies. Can just sit here and drink a Mountain Dew and watch BET.
Yeah, beautiful.
If this is,
I love this country.
If this isn't what help defines this podcast, we can sit and nitpick our experiences at an Omni hotel or a Hilton, and then we'll come back to going, I appreciate a seat at the gas station where I can stop and have a little snacky snack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just grab a Mountain Dew and some pretzels and a chocolate bar and just sit and enjoy America. You know?
Exactly.
But especially because you were on your motorcycle, if it's hot out, you don't want to go sit and try to hold food over your motorcycle and eat or whatever, you know?
Have you ever tried to dunk a nugget in sauce while trying to drive a motorcycle?
Very unsafe. Not recommended.
Not recommended at all.
Almost as unsafe as leaving your pump unattended while you're pumping gas. No, it was really nice. And we just sat there, and all 3 of us like, this is really nice.
I love it. I love it.
The bar has been set really low after COVID in middle America.
That's eating awesome. Out in the Midwest.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if y'all are streaming anything. I know that I'm not, but I am eating stuff. And today specifically, the kids and my wife, we waited until she got home because she wanted to be a part of it. We did a side by side, a total of 5 peanut butters today.
Oh,
yeah.
And
we went to the store, and I bought the smallest jars I could get, and we ran Jif and regular Jif, regular Skippy, Jif natural. More on that in a minute. And I bought a jar of the like just peanuts, like you got to stir it because it separates kind of peanut butter. And then we already had Kroger brand at home. And we've typically been a Jif family. Something that I've learned about peanut butter recently is that the normal everyday peanut butters for us, like Jif and the Skippy and Peter Pan and those, are all made using hydrogenated vegetable oil, and which is just vegetable oil that's been treated so that it's at that solid state at room temperature, which is why those peanut butters are what they are. And you have to stir it because the oils on top peanut butter is what it is. The third, so those are the kind of like the 2 styles. The third style, like sort of like the natural styles, instead of using hydrogenated vegetable oil, are using palm oil, which is already in that state naturally, so they don't have to hydrogenate it. And so that's what makes those quote unquote natural, but they're otherwise very similar to the normal stuff. And so tried one of those out. And yeah, if anybody's curious, Jif is what won the power ranking in our house. So each person on their blind taste test, if their number 1 spot got 3 points, and then 2 points for second, 3 points for third, fourth got nothing. And Jif eked out Jif natural is what happened. And
yeah, you're talking peanut butter is my 7th love language now. I know there's only 5, but the 6th one is Taco Bell. So it's really interesting, and people have all different kinds of reasons to eat whatever kind of peanut butter you want, but it makes a big difference. When the Jif had their big salmonella outbreak, you remember that like a year ago?
Oh yeah,
I tried so hard to slum it with Skippy, and it was some of the worst time of my adult life. And I even got like their best one, like the fattiest one that I thought would be the most delicious still.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, if I've got to slum it, I'm going to make this as enjoyable for at least me as possible. and it was the worst. It's noticeable. It's noticeable how much
Really?
different
You
and
know,
how bad it was. It was drier. The flavor wasn't good.
really.
It was
So like
it was
I think
nasty.
maybe what happened in our taste test was that we had other things that were even more vastly different.
Could
And
be.
so when I'm tasting like Skippy versus Jif, they tasted practically the same to me. As a matter of fact, they were 1 and 2 on my list. But again, I think that's because what they were up against was like the natural one, which
Yeah.
had the same texture as normal creamy peanut butter. But to make the natural one taste better, it's loaded with sugar.
Yeah. Right. And
So it was like way sweet, and I did not like that about it. 2 people in my family loved that about it, and it was their top pick. That's why it came in second in the power rankings.
yeah.
And then there's the old school one, which is just peanuts.
Yeah.
But
To me, it felt like I was at we stopped and my dad has a pool. We stopped one day and got food on the way to his house to eat and then swim. And we had gotten McDonald's or something. And I went inside to get some ketchup from the fridge. And I came back out and my wife said, "Where's the ketchup?" And I said, "Oh, they don't have any ketchup. They only had Hunt's." And, and that was my joke. But the joke, you know how they say like there's a little bit of truth in in every joke or whatever. I don't think that's true, but there was a lot of truth in this joke and how disappointed that I was with Hunt's instead of Heinz. And that's how I feel as strongly about peanut butter. Like there's so many different ones, and anything that's that oily that you've got to stir it every time just always feels off right out of the gate. And I don't, it's not a creamy versus crunchy thing. I don't mind that. Like I can enjoy a crunchy peanut butter, extra crunchy, but those tastes are very different. And when you have one you need to stir, or when you have one that has a lot more sugar in it, or you get the natural ones that are less ingredients, it's rare that I don't notice a significant difference. I will say, shout out to Heinz Natural because there's like 5 ingredients and it tastes freaking great as like their natural ketchup.
Okay.
And I'm normally much more surprised at the difference between ingredients. So I say all of that to say, I want to come over and taste test peanut butter with at your house too. And I'll bring Kory's dogs because they'll probably enjoy it.
While you guys were talking, I was pulling up some articles on people who have done like up to 77 jar blind taste tests with peanut butter. Last place was Great Value Creamy. That's the Walmart brand. And first place in one article, at least, was Jif Extra Crunchy in a blind 77 jar taste test. A lot of other people have done similar, but that sounds like a really good time. I'm down.
Yeah. I also recently set up a root beer side by side. We tried Mug versus Barks versus A&W versus, again, Kroger brand, because that's what we already had at home. Do you have any idea how we do our shopping? Much to their chagrin, that was funny because all 3 of them unanimously in a blind taste test chose Kroger brand. All 3 of them will deny it. They did not want Kroger to be their favorite. And so they'll like Joel will tell me, like, Mug's my favorite root beer. I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. The science says that Kroger.
You guys have fun on a Friday night in that little house.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I did kind of the same thing at the candy shop, and I normally like Boylan's soda, Boylans. It's like a relatively popular American made soda. You can get a lot of places.
It's kind of like Jones-y.
Yeah,
right?
It's a little nicer than
it's a little elevated but readily available.
Yeah, and I normally really like their sodas, and their root beer was trash. But shout out to all the other flavors, which are good. And then I had Hank's from Philadelphia, and it was delicious.
Wonderful.
And so you never know. But even in trying a couple different root beers from there, like some are more cream soda-y root beer, and some are more traditional root beer. I really like Dad's root beer. That's really good. Dad's brand. And so we need to do more taste tests because I find that really interesting. I got stuck doing one at the Ohio State Fair, and it was a Coke person. And I'm pretty sure what they did was they tried to make the Pepsi flat. And I didn't pick it because it was flat, but it was just the Coke. Sometimes Coke can be very carbonated and almost bitey. And so I just picked the one that I liked. And I'm like, I definitely like this one better. And she's like, that's the Pepsi. Guess that's the one I like. Take that, Coke person.
You want my testimonial on your materials?
Yeah. Did you want me to move it along? But anyways, we need to do more taste tests because I think that's fun.
I'm down for that. I'm not streaming a lot other than Formula One races from my DVR box because I was on vacation. So I DVR'd a few races. Max is tearing it up in the F1 world. We shared some interesting news last week that our boy who was into Ryan Reynolds and all his endeavors with acquiring and investing in teams, he's now going to get into Formula One. So there was some more interesting stories there. And then I keep telling people about how they should watch Jury Duty on Prime Video because that's a good time. Interestingly, I had a work meeting today, and the icebreaker question was, what are you streaming right now? And 3 or 4 people on a team of 25 said Hot Ones, and Hot Ones specifically with some of their favorite actors. So Hot Ones keeps cranking out the good material. And speaking of taste tests, we've got to make this happen somehow, some way.
I'm in.
All 10 sauces.
I don't like hot things, but I'm willing to die for it at this point.
We've got to do it. We've got to figure out a way to do it. So anyway, if you want to see that, hit up the tip jar.
We need to do that. We need to do that.
Yeah, please hit up the tip jar. We'll appreciate it. A couple quick shout outs. The Reluctant Traveler on Apple TV Plus with Eugene Levy, who basically only likes to travel to stay in the hotels. And I watched a few of those, and it's him going out. The first one was a little slow, got way better after the first episode. So if you like Eugene Levy, it's him exploring. And then on Disney Plus, we're right in the middle of Secret Invasion, which is basically the Nick Fury show. So if you like Marvel and you want to watch kind of spy espionage, Skrulls, who's who and who's a Skrull in disguise, Nick Fury, whatever, check out Secret Invasion. It's only a 6-part thing, and before you know it, we're going to be watching Ahsoka, the new Star Wars series on Disney Plus.
Dylan, if someone wanted to donate to our tip jar, since we've been having that pretty hard this episode, how would they do that?
Literally every freaking place that you see our podcast has our links. When you hit the link, we try to very conveniently place a lot of different places that you can find our podcast, where you can see our phone number to leave us a voicemail, our Facebook community and main page. And we like to list out a few places that are popular or might give you different experiences for listening to our podcast. Good Pods helps you follow your friends and see what they're listening to. Podchaser, you can build lists. It's kind of like IMDb for podcasts. Pandora, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube are all very obvious why people like those. But we also have a tip jar on there. So you can go on there and click it. You can pick a preset amount or any amount that you want and give us some money, and we'll use it to buy stuff to taste test because we think that would be fun and you would enjoy it.
Also want to shout out Artiest Man, our sponsor. They make amazing beard grooming and body grooming products for men, as some awesome soy blend woodwick candles. That's artiestman.com, artiusman.com. Fill your cart with a ton of stuff. Use promo code The Middle, all one word, all caps, The Middle at checkout to get 25%. That's almost 1/4 off of your first order. And they will continue to track your purchases and give us a small kickback. So check out artiestman.com for amazing men's grooming stuff. It's been fun catching up, hearing what we're doing this summer, but we would love to hear what you're doing this summer. And if you're going to go see any of the places that we recommended, that would be cool too. Interact with us on our Facebook group, From the Middle for the Middlers. There's a lot of fun activity going in there. And it's kind of like our version of a Patreon, except it's free and we don't charge you. So another reason you need to throw a few bucks in the tip jar so we can do a Hot Ones taste test and see who lasts the longest. Anything else, boys?
If anyone wants to see me die, I'll die for sure. That's it.
Bye. Indeed.